What's going on, guys? It's Jake here, and in today's video I'll be talking about the Robinhood app for beginners and really just overall how to invest for beginners and where to get started. This was actually a question that was asked on my live stream that I did, I think it was like 2 days ago or something like that on my channel, and someone was really asking, saying I'm a beginner on the Robinhood app. I just started investing. I'm not really 100% sure what to do. Where do I get started? What stocks or ETFs should I look at to invest in first? So I'm going to be talking about all of that in this video. But before I get into it, if you're new to the channel and you do like investing, the stock market, personal finance, entrepreneurship, things like that, definitely feel free to subscribe. It's free to do so, and I do post videos about that on my channel. But other than that, getting into it, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about the Robinhood app, how to get started investing. So this doesn't necessarily just pertain to the Robinhood app, but at the time that I'm making this video, I'm going to make it kind of pertain to it in certain ways, just because with the Robinhood app right now, you can only buy whole shares of stock. So that will definitely factor into what I talk about in this video. And also on the Robinhood app, it is absolutely free to use. You don't get charged any fees or anything like that. So if you are using an app or a brokerage that isn't free, or an app or brokerage that does allow you to buy fractional shares, this might be a little bit different. And in the future, Robinhood is supposed to get fractional shares, but at the time they do not have them yet. So some of those things will definitely factor into what I talk about in the video. So when you're starting out investing, especially with the Robinhood app, there's probably a ton of YouTube videos out there and a ton of, forums, Twitter posts, Instagram, whatever, telling you to invest in penny stocks and to invest in very, very low price stocks and try to day trade them. So often I get people who come to my channel and ask me for questions and talk to me about this kind of stuff. And that's kind of the first step in the evolution of an investor, is to take a look at penny stocks, try to make a quick buck, try to do a lot of short-term trading. So one thing probably not to do, that's probably not a good idea when you're a beginner investor, is to do a lot of short-term trading, swing trading, especially with penny stocks or stocks that are very low priced. So technically penny stocks are stocks below $5. So on the Robinhood app, they don't have things like OTCs, or they're also called pink sheet stocks. So you cannot actually invest in those, luckily for you, because if you do try to invest in stuff like that, and even just ordinary penny stocks, you're probably not going to make a lot of money. And I know, I'm sure you can let me know in the comment section if you're one of those people that watched someone else's channel try to trade penny stocks and then came to mine. So first things first, I think when you are a beginner investor, it's not only a lot easier, but a lot smarter in the long term to be more of a long-term investor and not be a penny stock / short-term trader. Now, in terms of how to actually build up your portfolio, maybe some first stocks you might want to look into, some first ETFs you want to look into, things like that. So if you're a beginner, your portfolio size is probably relatively small. It might even be in only the hundreds of dollars range, or like a couple of $1,000 or so, but either way, that's okay. You can definitely grow your portfolio in the future. And a huge tip that I like to give beginner investors and just investors overall is to continuously deposit into your portfolio. So even if your portfolio is relatively small, one of the best ways to grow that portfolio over time significantly and really, really hit home with that compounding interest is to continue to put money into your portfolio. Now, of course, that likely means you're going to have to tackle or maybe take care of some other finances, like maybe some previous debt that you have from credit cards, student loans, whatever, or just take care of an emergency fund, set that up, savings account, yada, yada. But putting money into your portfolio will be crucial to grow your portfolio. And then in terms of stocks, ETFs, things like that to look into. So some stocks that I think are pretty solid for beginner investors for a handful of reasons. One, because they're relatively low in price. So that is important when you're going to be buying whole shares, because obviously, I think a stock like Amazon is a pretty solid company. They're probably going to continue to do well, but their stock price at the time that I'm making this video, which I actually don't know the exact price, but if I look it up right now, Amazon is at almost $2,000. So it wouldn't really make sense to buy a $2,000 stock if your portfolio is only a couple $1,000s. So stocks like that can't really be in this list. But some beginner stocks that I do like actually, and that are relatively low in price, and this is just at the time that I'm making this video. So of course, if you watch this video weeks, months, or even a year from now, these could vastly change. So one I like a lot is AT&T. So AT&T at the time that I'm making this video is around $38. I like them a lot because they have a really nice dividend yield at around 5%. So this means that they will be giving you, if you're unaware what a dividend yield means, 5% of their stock price, and they do this 4 times a year. So you split up that 5% 4 times a year, and dividend yields can change, but AT&T has a good tendency to increase their dividend yield rather than decrease it. So overall, I think AT&T is a pretty solid buy if you are a beginner investor for some of those reasons. And of course, there are other reasons, but I'm not going to get into a total analysis in this video. Some other stocks that I think are pretty solid. Next one's going to be Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola is at about $57 at the time when I'm making this video. Coca-Cola is a dividend aristocrat. So dividend aristocrats are stocks that have been increasing their dividend yield for 25 years plus. So with a stock like Coca-Cola, I really like them a lot. They're Warren Buffett's favorite stock. A lot of the stocks on this list are going to have some similar traits here. So with Coca-Cola, they're not going to give you great growth. Their price is around $57, so they are a relatively cheap stock to buy, and then they do have a nice dividend yield, and I do believe they are fairly valued as well. Another stock that I think can be a pretty decent buy are automobile stocks. So there's 2 big ones, which are Ford and GM. You could look at both, do some research for yourself, decide which one you want to buy. I personally own GM. GM is around $34, and if I look up Ford's price right now, they are around $9 at the time I'm making this video. So automobile stocks, they do sometimes go up and down. They're not necessarily completely economic proof, they're not economic proof. They're not completely recession proof, I should say. So when the economy is doing badly, these stocks probably are going to do badly as well, but they tend to come back up from that. And both of these companies actually have pretty nice dividend yields and do fit into that low price scheme. Another stock you may want to take a look at because of its low price, because it's pretty solid, is Pfizer and also AbbVie. So both of these stocks are healthcare stocks. They have relatively low prices. Pfizer's around $40, AbbVie's around $80 right now. I own both of them, and why I like both of these stocks is because they are healthcare stocks, so it does diversify my portfolio a little bit. They are relatively safe. They have good dividend yields. They've been giving out these yields for a really long time. And when you look at healthcare companies, there are a ton of really bad ones out there, ones that are like in the penny stock territory, or they're waiting for clinicals, things like that. So I personally stay away from those stocks. And then finally, to close out the stock section of this, there are a ton of good financial stocks that are actually under $100 or so right now. But one I like specifically is just Bank of America. Bank of America, it's a huge banking company. It has a nice dividend yield. It's pretty fairly valued, and it's at $33 right now. So in terms of stocks, there definitely are a ton of good stocks out there and good companies you can invest in. This list I just gave you right here are some that I am personally invested in, some I'm not, and ones that I think are pretty good prices and pretty decent to add to a beginner's portfolio right now. So with that, there are a couple of ETFs that I like as well. So one ETF I really like a lot, and I talk about regardless of how experienced an investor is ProShares S&P 500 High Dividend Low Volatility ETF, ticker symbol is SPHD. So with this ETF, it's pretty diverse. It has a low expense ratio, and it also gives out a monthly dividend yield, which is super awesome. And for beginner investors, I really like that one a lot. And last but not least, another ETF I like a lot is ProShares S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats ETF. So overall with that ETF right there takes a look at the dividend aristocrats and mirrors them. So those are, like I said earlier, stocks that have been increasing their yields over time. So with that, if I was starting on the Robinhood app right now and I only had $1,000 or $500 or maybe a couple $1,000s, that's probably what I would look at for my portfolio. But other than that, guys, is it for this video. Like I said before, if you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and talk about the stock market, personal finance, entrepreneurship, things like that. And also, if you enjoyed this video, it helps you, feel free to hit that like button and leave a comment below what you think of this video. Did you hate it? Did you love it? Definitely let me know. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.